Good morning, board members. I'm Alicia Strobel, the president of Strobel Consulting, and the presentation today will be on the Graduation Pathways Survey Project, year 2, and we'll be talking about the district survey. So, of course, as always, I want all of you after the presentation to understand the survey parameters, the constructs, and how questions were developed. Also, I want you to understand the timelines so that they're clear and easily conceptualized. And then, of course, the important part, I want all of you to have an opportunity to ask questions and share input. So real quick, let's go through the survey constructs. So these are at a minimum, will help us know the data we're gathering. And this comes from the original RFP. And I think we know these by now, so we'll just go through them. But it's whether changes should be made to the existing graduation pathways and what might those changes be. We want to take a look at the barriers school districts have to offering all of the graduation pathways, and then any potential strategies to eliminate or reduce those barriers. We also want to look at whether or not all students have equitable access to each of the graduation pathways, and if not, what are the potential strategies to reduce the barriers they might have to accessing those? Again, it's important that they can access all the pathways. We also want to look at whether additional graduation pathways should be included and ideas on what that might be. Instrument design. So the design of this survey, the school district follow-up survey, we use data from the SBE Basic Education Compliance Report and then the OSPI School District Survey Analysis, in addition to our findings from year 1, and of course the intended outcomes of the project to design this year's survey. So a couple of things that were important and definitely influenced how we created the questions on this survey. When we looked at the analysis from the basic ed and the school district survey data, we found that nearly all districts are able to offer pathways that fall under that ELA math umbrella. So we don't need to ask a lot of questions about those, right? Because we know everybody is offering that. CT, however, was a pathway umbrella that was least likely to be offered, especially in smaller districts. So that's an area we want to further explore with our survey questions. Districts with a higher percentage of students with disabilities were less likely to offer the CTE or ASVAB pathways, which is, and it was significant. And that's interesting because a lot of the feedback we received in year 1 is that students with disabilities are often the students that need to access CTE. So we want to take a look at that too. There will be 3 distinct surveys. Rather than doing one survey, we did a district personnel survey, a school personnel survey, and a student survey. So the district personnel and school personnel, those questions are pretty much the exact same. We just wanted to create the separate surveys so that the language on each of those matched if you were taking it as a district level person or a school level person. The student survey is distinct. We applied the same constructs, but the questions are unique to students and explore some different areas there. Yep, that's that, got that one. All right, the following key considerations did influence the design of the year 2 district survey. So we wanted to keep it very minimal to be sensitive to the high stress of the school year because of COVID and just general stuff that goes on while still collecting useful data as required by the original scope of work. So we had a lot of fun designing this. I think sometimes it's easy to put in more survey questions, but we were pretty ruthless in making sure we had a smaller amount of questions, but that those questions they're good questions. And we're pretty excited about it. We also did not ask any questions or gather any data that could be gleaned from the basic ed and the OSPI district school survey. So we already know which districts offer all pathways, we know the sizes, and we can code the responses from the district level survey to incorporate that data. So we don't need to waste respondents' time by asking them these types of questions. And that helped us kind of shrink down the number of items we have. We also wanted to go beyond the original task of just gathering district level data, right? We do need that district level data, but at the same time, we felt it was really important to include school level data and student level data, especially. And I think you'll see that's a push we have for this year is really getting that student level data. We also wanted to design questions based on feedback from the SBE team that actually can reflect every school year, including a year in which a pandemic is occurring. So we did create questions that they can be applied in any year, but will be sensitive to things going on, such as the pandemic. I know there was some questions about that, and we can certainly talk more about that at the end. So the survey format and how we'll communicate, as it's focused on the district information, we'll request that district personnel, school personnel, and students complete the survey, right? We'll offer that to all those sort of stakeholders. Surveys will be provided in an online and paper as requested. We're not going to print a bunch of surveys and waste. And then they'll be in both Spanish and English for the student versions. Certainly if a district or personnel level person wants it in Spanish, we can get that, but typically we would see where it would really be students that want that. So we'll do that out of the gate. Efforts will be made to include representation from every district. We will monitor responses in a real time, and we do ask respondents to identify their district so that we can follow up. We can cross-check, especially for those districts who we see from the other SB and OSPI data that do not offer all the pathways. We will work very hard in friendly stalker mode to make sure that we get data from those districts. And when we monitor in real time, that gives us plenty of time to do that before the close of the window. We also want to increase the likelihood of potential respondents receiving the survey link. So the SBE team will send out all survey information just because that'll be a friendly email that it's coming from and won't go into spam. And that's, kind of the method we used in year one, which worked very well. So we'll employ that again. Survey window, it'll open in late March and run through May 9th. We may actually open the window sooner than that, as soon as we finalize the survey after this meeting. It'll also be important to engage applicable contacts at schools to ensure students take the survey. You'll see in our sampling parameters that we want a chunk of students. So we'll really be reaching out to people at schools and in districts to see if they'll offer the survey to their students. And it's short, so should be 5 minutes or less. Questions. The survey will include a mix of open-ended and closed response questions. The closed response questions will have more of those than the open-ended, right? Because that kind of alleviates the barrier for people taking it. Questions will be around 14. We haven't finalized it, but we'll keep it right around there to ensure survey fatigue is at a minimal. The last thing we want to do is stress people out. We want them to feel like their responses are valuable and it's not hard to provide them. We will also code all the open-ended responses so that they can be reported in both a qualitative and quantitative fashion to the extent possible. We'll have to kind of see how those answers come in, but that'll really let us utilize that data. We also incorporated skip logic, which is based on answers to previous questions. So participants only see questions that are applicable to them, right? Everybody doesn't get every question. We also provided some nice skip logic that allows us to dig deeper into certain types of answers to be sure we understand the sort of impetus for the respondent's answer. Demographic information. We do want to utilize demographic information to run subgroup analysis where there's a sufficient sample size to do that, just to see if survey responses differ by demographics, right? That can be very important. However, all the demographic questions are, of course, optional. We don't ask for any personal information unless respondents opt to provide contact information because they want us to contact them directly regarding the focus groups. We do put a little thing in there to ask if their interest. We found that was helpful last year and a lot of people appreciated it. But there is a note on those survey pages that is very distinct saying it's not required. All demographic questions are at the end of the survey just because we'd rather collect the feedback related to the graduation pathways first, since that's our primary data requirement. And every single demographic question has a prefer not to answer. So people can provide that data or not. Our sampling parameters. So the total target sample size for students is 380. It's kind of a big number, but we really want to get that number of students. So yeah, that's our goal. The target sample size for the district and school personnel is 325, and this ensures a confidence level of 95% with a margin of error plus or minus 5%. So as I noted, that will be challenging. So if any of you have contact information or people we can reach out to, I love to get questions and discussions. I know most of this will occur during the live board meeting. You're, as always, welcome to email me in advance. My email is right here. Any questions or thoughts or ideas or things you'd like to see addressed during the presentation. Again, always ask if you are willing to leverage your stakeholder connections, especially with those educators who can help us connect with students. So thank you very much for letting me present, and I will look forward to seeing all of you live here next week.